Coach, thanks for coming back on.
Good to be on with you guys. How you doing tonight?
Doing well. So you say you just got back in town. I'm presuming from recruiting, right? I'm assuming.
Actually, no. Still trying to find that top recruiting coordinator in college baseball. So
that's technically recruiting, right?
It's work.
Technically.
It's work.
It's recruiting in a different window. It's
We
okay.
knew it wasn't vacation.
Yeah, it was not vacation, that's for sure. It was fly out and back in the same day, and so had a productive day and moving along on that search. So it's good.
Nice.
Coach, last time we talked, you were getting ready to play in a regional. We talked to you at the selection show. We talked about the expectations and everything that we had going on. Obviously, the boys, came up a little short, which is, disappointing you, disappointing them, and I think everybody would admit that that's not what they anticipated and what they expected. And then from that point forward, you've been out and you've been making the moves. You've been bringing guys in. Guys have moved out, moved on, transferred out, have gone different places. How has this last month been for you as far as changing the roster and adapting the roster to the guys that you want, and how hard are those conversations having with those players that are leaving?
Yeah, man, you packed a lot into
I know
right there. Going back to the end of the season, I'm really proud of our team this year. I mean, we won 40 games. I believe that was 2 more than they won in the previous season. We jumped from 9th place where they were in 2021 to 4th in the SEC. Did a lot of things. A lot of players had great individual seasons, couple All-Americans, and most importantly, set a good foundation for competing and winning going forward. I mean, there's nobody that wants to win a national title more than me, and that's what I came to LSU to do, and that's what all the work since then has been pushed towards. But I'm proud of our team in 2022. We overcame some shortcomings, overcame a lot of injuries, and had a lot of success. We ultimately didn't get to Omaha, but other than that, it was a good first year. So I'm proud of those guys for that. Then moving forward, yeah, I mean, I think you're always evaluating your program. It's not like, I wake up one day and say this guy stays or this guy goes or any of that. I'm always evaluating what's best for LSU baseball, and I'm evaluating what's best for the players themselves. And, we have competitive guys in our program that want to play. And so several of them made their own decision, frankly, to move on. And I respect them for that. And, those aren't really tough conversations for me because I'm a straightforward guy and I'm really honest. I try to listen and evaluate what the player wants and give them my honest feedback for where they're at, and then try to always make the best decision, for them. And so that's really what that phase was. And then, the other part of that group is the guys that are going to be returning and, really earmarking the things that we want them to do in summer ball or in the weight room to improve so that it's the same name on the roster next year, but it's a better player. Right. And being really intentional about what we do with those guys. And I actually said to this team somewhere in the middle of the year, and just talking about moving forward in 2023, that the roster would look like this. It would be the best players and best people from this team. Those would be the guys that would return. We had a good foundation, with our high school class that was the number 1 class in the country by perfect game. A lot of those guys, not a lot, maybe a lot. Some of those guys are going to sign pro contracts, but some of them are going to show up. And then when you put those two groups together, then I was just going to evaluate what we needed from the transfer portal. And then we were going to get those guys, and that's what the 2023 roster was going to look like. And so that's what I've done for the last, 3 weeks, and feel good about where we're at. Now it's just about the draft and evaluating where we are after that and go from there.
Yeah, that's what I was going to get to next. The draft comes up in, I think, 9 days. I think it's July 15th. You talked about the recruiting class coming in, how many guys that y'all have, the number 1 recruiting class in the country. Obviously, not all those guys are going to be on campus. And you have some guys on the team that have opportunity to get drafted or come back. And even, honestly, some guys that you got in the portal that are draft eligible that could also go. How do you navigate that? Have you had these conversations with these guys of like, hey, you know what? What are they telling you? How's the draft looking? Like, are you in constant conversation with them, or is it, I gotta have this kind of like a gambling, like wait and see what happens?
Oh no, it's on my radar every day. I literally, I mean, this is my home office right here. There's paper everywhere, and it's literally the same thing. It's the spots on the roster, scholarship, who I project is in, who I project is out, and it's a constant like reworking of everything to make sure we have what we need to be successful, but we have it within what the NCAA rules and guidelines say. And it's tough in baseball. A lot of times I wish we were like football, where when you recruit a player, you definitely get them and they're showing up. And then there was no draft, but we don't have it that way. So you got to be creative. And, I think for me, keeping us in a position of power is really important. And so, we try to project, we try to have conversations. I mean, we got guys in summer school right now. We have 8 players in summer school, and there's probably 4 of those guys that are going to have to, answer the phone and say yes or no, whether they're going to stay here or they're going to pack up their dorm room and head to Peoria, Arizona, or St. Pete, Florida, and figure out, where they're going in professional baseball. What I've done is just try to educate them of, the draft will tell you what your value is to professional baseball. I have very strong thoughts on this. If you're a first-round pick, so if you're the first player selected by a team and you're the face of that draft, then it's understandable to sign, because they're going to make sure that you make it to the big leagues. You have a 75% chance of being a major leaguer. When that first round ends, I don't care what the money says, your odds of making it go down dramatically. And, I'm very partial to what we do here at LSU. I'm very partial to college baseball. It's just a better way to develop. And, we'll always provide that for our players that choose college. The thing that changes that sometimes for families is money, and professional baseball has a lot of that to give out right now. So, this transfer portal thing's been good because it's given us an avenue that we haven't really had before to cover up some of those losses. And so, it's going to kind of be hold on to your hat. I'm probably going to lock myself in a hotel room with like three phones and for 3 days. You might not hear from me during those 3 days.
That was honestly what I wanted to ask you. I wanted to what's draft day like for you? I would imagine being a fan for your own situation is pretty high up on the priority list, like it should be, and obviously doing the players that are going to have that decision the best you can do to give them the right information to make the best decision possible for them. But how was that day for you? Is there a couple different shirt changes, meaning like I'm sure you might sweat through one, and like how does it go? Like how does it work for you?
Yeah, well, this year specifically, I'm actually going to be out in Arizona. I'm going to be with Jacob Berry and his family.
Oh, nice.
They invited me and my wife to be out there, and I'm super proud of him. And we obviously have a special relationship and special connection of 6 years between recruiting and coaching them, and then 2 different schools. Right. You're seeing it all over now. The Michigan guys are going to Clemson, and the Notre Dame guys are going to Florida State. So, we were kind of the first ones bloody through the door where those guys went in the portal, and I recruited them to LSU, and everybody thought I was crazy, and, but that's just how it's going to go. I mean, the quarterback from Oklahoma is now at SC, and, players a lot of times will follow the relationship, and it might be hard for some to understand that in recruiting, it's a lot about relationships. So that's, where I'm at with Jacob and his family. So I'm going to go there. I'm certainly hoping he's picked quickly. Yeah. So we'll hug, smile, take pictures, and then I'm probably going to dart out the door to a hotel and set up shop and make sure I'm talking to our players that need to be talked to and talked through the situation. And for me, it shouldn't even have to be like that. I think, the pro baseball teams, they play on the emotion of these players, and that draft can get really emotional, and guys will come down and lower their numbers. And for me, we're just trying to give them a plan and get them to stick to their plan. And if they do that, then pro baseball tells you your worth in pro baseball. Yep.
And that's the hardest thing to do.
Some of our players, yes. And I get it. I mean, who doesn't want to play on TV and the power of that? And but you're not going to the TV right away.
Right.
You're going
maybe 4 or 5 years to get there.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're going, like I said, Goodyear, Arizona, Clearwater, Florida. And so it's an interesting time. It's it's going to be intense, and we'll have to figure some things out, on both sides of it, and that's just the way that it is. And for me, my job is to protect our program, and that's what I feel like we've done in recruiting. And I'm excited to see how it plays out. But then there's another side of it where it's almost hard to project 2024 till we get the following year,
right,
until we get through this day. Right. So I'm anxious. I wish it was tomorrow, I'll be honest with you, but I'm certainly happy for our players from our team this past year that are going to get selected. And with the recruits, we'll see how it falls.
I think the players would rather it be today or tomorrow too, because I know going through it was stressful for me, and it was a very high anxiety for me too. Talked about relationships and how important that is in recruiting. It's also important in trying to get your staff together, right? And I think the big splash hire and the pitching coach, Wes Johnson, Wes Johnson, bringing him in from Minnesota, I don't think anybody saw that coming. I know I didn't. I know Jared didn't. I know a lot of people around Major League Baseball probably didn't. I don't know how much you can go into detail about this because I know, but how did that come about? Like, obviously, his reputation in college baseball as a pitching coach, that precedes him, right? Everybody knows that. But how do you say, you know what, I'm going to go and offer a big league guy on a first-place team in Major League Baseball a college baseball pitching coach job, same job, and then him take it?
Yeah, what's funny is everybody keeps asking me about this, and it's just like, hey, man, I'm LSU. Like, this is the big leagues to me. Like, I don't really care about all this other stuff. I wanted to get the best player or the best coach so our current pitchers could improve as much as they could. I want to get the best coach so that the best pitchers want to not only commit and sign to LSU, they want to bypass the draft and make sure they come to LSU. And there's nobody better than Wes. I mean, for my money, he's the best pitching coach in all of baseball at any level. And he has this unique skill set or experience of, the guy was at Mississippi State. I coached against him in the 2016 Super Regional. He was at Arkansas in 17 and 18, and we actually played Arkansas in both 17 and 18. So I've competed against him. So he knows the highest level of Division I baseball. He knows the SEC West. And then he's been in the big leagues for 3.5 years on playoff-type teams and has coached the type of guys that our pitchers are going to want to be. The Chris Archers of the world will swear by Wes Johnson, and that's just the start of it. And so I think it's as good a hire as we could have. Just working together so far, which has been on the phone totally, has been really exciting to hear him call a few guys of our returning pitchers or recruits and then get off the phone and call me and break down what he has. It's just, and the motor, the information, it's next level. And everybody's going to be really excited that he's here, especially as he gets to work.
We actually talked about the Chris Archer thing. So I play with Arch in Tampa, so I know him pretty well. And when he was in Tampa, obviously he was an all-star, he was elite. And then over his last few years, he kind of suffered. And then you watch him this year, and you're like, well, this is the old Chris Archer. And to see what Wes has done to him, like, that's evident. Obviously, his college resume is great, but then see him being able to get a high-level professional pitcher who has had success buy into what he's saying, like, that says a lot about his personality, his character, and how good of a coach he actually is. So, like, I'm super pumped to watch him in college here at LSU and develop the guys. Did y'all have a relationship beforehand outside of playing against each other? Like, did you know him personally, or is it just kind of mutual friends and just kind of hooked up that way?
Yeah, I think, when he was at Dallas Baptist, Coach Fitzgerald, who just left, and I have been friends for a long time, and Wes was on the staff with him. And so you kind of heard about this guy, like, that was just way ahead of his time as far as developing guys. And then he went to Mississippi State, and we obviously, won that Super Regional, but the first game was 1-0, you know what I mean? And then the second game was 5-4. And so you couldn't help but be impressed. And the next year we're playing Arkansas, and Matt Cronin's left-handed throwing 99 out of the pen, and it's just like, man, I don't know where they get these arms, but this dude is turning these guys into monsters, and so that really caught my attention. But then the root of how we got him this year is he was my choice last year. Like, I was trying to get him last year. And so there were some things, with the Twins and, getting it's not service time of the right pension.
Yep.
There was a yearly mark for him to hit, which that was totally understandable. And then, the thought was maybe he was going to get an extension or multi-year contract out of the Twins. And then, I thought that was the case. But when I went back, he was a lot more available than I thought. And you guys know, I mean, that's a tough lifestyle, especially if you have like a family. So I know he's super excited to get his family all under one roof and here in Baton Rouge. And I think it's going to be great for them. It's going to be great for us and our pitchers and LSU and the fans. It's an awesome deal for our program.
And I mean, I would have to imagine now, obviously you were the huge part of getting him signed and getting him here. But I would have to imagine that being able to bring him back to college ball, someone who's coached in college ball, someone who's coached in the SEC, is now doing it at the highest level of the sport. I would imagine that bringing him back here, if you hadn't felt it before in any other player situation and or coach situation, as far as for recruiting and getting guys here and the power of being here at this place, has to be like, oh, wow, this is crazy that we're able to be able to do these type of moves and things go through for you.
Yeah, 100%. And I had 3 really good candidates for this job. It was awesome. And any one of the 3 would have been outstanding for our players. But yeah, I mean, this was a big deal. And when you talk about that, Jared, putting the LSU name with the direction of our program, with the history of the program, with what all of you guys did. And then these players today, they want development. They want to be major leaguers. And you have this pitching coach with the intelligence, the work ethic, the energy, the motor, the experience, the skill set from every phase of this thing to, developing velocity, developing secondary pitches, creating deception, calling pitches, developing throwing programs, synergy with the strength coach. I mean, this dude is complete. Really, really complete. And it's super exciting if you're a pitcher on our staff or a future pitcher that this is who you're going to be working with. I certainly hope it helps me not go out to the mound as many times during the game.
I wish I had some
He's big for the pace, huh?
I wish I had some eligibility left. I'll try to get on the bump now. You got me fired up.
Let's go.
I wish.
He
offers you immediately. Never me.
That. Hey, all of you guys might have been useful at the game 3 and 4 of our regional.
That's a very good point.
Coach, I do have one more question about Wes Johnson, how you're able to bring him in, because obviously we see all the benefits of why you wanted to hire him, but what were you able to sell him on at LSU? And obviously I know that you like to say, well, this is LSU, this is a place that you want to be, but this man had a pretty cush job at working for the Twins. But I'm wondering, what was your actual sales pitch, and how long did that conversation take? Were you doing a lot of convincing, or was he like, oh, I'm back, I'm all in?
No, I think there was 3 things. Number one, I think it was, getting to know each other a little better. Can we work together? And that we checked that box pretty quickly. Number 2, I mentioned his family, kind of getting them all under the same roof. And then we kind of have a similar history where we both were about as close to winning a national title without winning one as you possibly can be. I mean, my team in 16 left the tying run on 3rd and the winning run in the bottom of the 9th inning on 2nd to lose the national championship game. His team dropped a pop-up in the 9th inning 2 years later that would have won the national championship game. So we kind of talked about that, and you guys know this as competitors, those things leave a hole in you. You know what I mean? For me, it's not about anything else. I want to win a national title. I don't know that anybody will get this to the level that Coach Bertman had it in the 90s, but I'm sure as hell going to try. Yeah. And, to do that, you got to have the right pieces in place, and you got to be deliberate about how you put the organization together. And this is a really big piece for that. And when I say all this, I have tremendous respect for the job that Coach Kelly did this year. He did an outstanding job. I don't know that anybody could have done better with this staff than he did to get us to be 4th in the conference in ERA with where we were at is a tremendous accomplishment. I'm super happy for him. And this is one of those deals where I feel like everybody won and was successful with how all this happened. Right. So
you mentioned a lot of what I wanted to hit on a little bit, because I think anybody that watched the press conference after the final game of the Super Regional saw how almost that just you were wearing it on your face a little bit of how much you wanted to win and how almost surprised you were that we didn't advance to a Super Regional. And then once you get to Super Regional at home, you get to Omaha, anything can happen. How much of that loss kind of spurned these changes a little bit to where you're like, all right, I proved myself a little bit in year one at LSU that I can absolutely handle this job. And then to go on and be like, I'm going to do it absolutely the way I want to do it. I'm going to do it the Jay Johnson way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's stuff for you guys to talk about. I know that losing is really painful for me. Like I don't need more motivation. Like, I mean, I came here with plenty of it, and you know, I wanted it for this team. Like, I wanted to take that team to Omaha because other than the guys I've brought, none of these guys have played in Omaha. You know what I mean? Like, they don't know what that's like, and it is the pinnacle of college baseball. You guys know that. You know, you played there. And what that means and what that is. So I think I was disappointed for that. And we weren't making any changes on the staff. I mean, I'm proud of those guys for getting Power 5 head coaching jobs and feel like they're well prepared to be successful with Coach Kelly at Washington and Coach Fitzgerald at Kansas. But for me, it's just, you know, you have to make decisions to push the program to its best level. And you know, I didn't ask to be staffless this summer.
Yeah, it made your job a little harder.
But we're more than making the best of it. That's for sure.
Coach, I appreciate you taking this time. I'm gonna have just one or two more questions to be really quick. One, how excited are you to watch two of your guys, Dylan Cruz and Trey Morgan, play for Team USA? You know, putting on the red, white, and blue and the USA on your chest. It's a pretty huge honor, and to be able to watch them go out there and compete and represent not only themselves but LSU. How happy or excited are you for them?
Yeah, it's a big deal and it's awesome. I went to their game last Friday in Durham, and Dylan hit a home run.
Yeah.
Trey hit a double the other way. I mean, they're representing us really, really well. I mean, I just kind of scanned the field and it's like, obviously, I mean, Dylan made the team last year, but it's like these dudes are not only going to make the team, they're going to be the catalyst, you know, for that team. And I'm super, super proud of them. And I think it's a great honor. I mean, it's so hard. You're talking about 26 players in the entire country get to do that. Yeah. And so I think they're great players. They're talented. I think they both really improved as the season went along this year. And, you know, they're well positioned to help them win. And then really excited, obviously, to get to coach them again next year.
Last question. Go back to the draft. I'll let you go after this. You talked about going to Arizona, being with Jacob Berry, watching the draft, kind of being nervous. Who do you think? I guess that's putting you on the spot. But out of all the guys, recruits and guys that you have coached, how many guys do you realistically think will take the money and go after the first round? Do you think that you're going to lose half your recruiting class in the first round? That's a tough one.
Oh, well, I'm looking to my right at my 17 list here. I think it's fair to say, I think five are gone for sure. Okay. Like it is what it is. Yeah. You know, probably 6. And then there's a list of 5 other guys where it could legitimately go either way.
Okay.
But that's why, you know, when you add, you know, Tommy White, Carter Young, Jack Pineda, like everybody's like, man, what are you doing? Like, It's like, well, every backup infielder went in the transfer portal from LSU.
Right.
And then I look at all these projections, and Tucker Toman and Mikey Romero and Gavin Guidry are all stuffed up there pretty good.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't think it's really fair to ask Jordan and Trey to just each cover one side of the infield and have no other infielders on your roster. So,
no doubt.
So you know what? I mean, it is what it is. I mean, you know, when I look at Tucker Toman swing the bat, it looks like Corey Seager to me. So it's like, I get it. Like, I mean, I saw him swing in January, and I was like, we got a problem. Like this is not happening.
Yeah,
this is not happening. And then, I mean, everybody knows how good Mikie is and intangibles and all those things. And there's just, you hear too much about that. So you kind of have to project. And you know what? If we get a surprise in there, I think Gavin Guidry, I think he's the one to talk about because, I mean, he's from Louisiana, loves LSU. I mean, he's a super competitor. I mean, he's the exact kind of guy I want to build this program around. And, you know, we had a conversation the last couple of days. He's here for summer school. Like, hey, man, the phone's going to ring and somebody's going to say, you know, $1.8 million, and you're going to say no.
Right. And that's going to be very hard to do.
I need you to understand this has to happen.
Oh,
yeah.
Just say, hey, look what Dylan Cruz did. He's doubled his money from high school to college.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you know what? Money is money, but I mean, there's a whole element of this thing about being ready for professional baseball.
Yeah.
I mean, look how good of players. Look at Lloyd.
You know what, Lloyd?
I mean, you're looking for a recruiting coordinator, Coach. I'm here.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that you're going to pass the first round of RNA people out.
Oh, what kind of drugs are we testing?
Oh my God.
So.
Oh man.
But yeah, there's this whole element of being prepared for professional baseball. It's one thing to get a signing bonus. It's a whole other thing to go out and to kick butt and really get after that thing. And there's no doubt that you're going to be more prepared after playing in our program and at LSU and in the SEC than going out of high school.
For sure. Coach, I appreciate it like always. Thank you for giving us, 30 minutes of your time. Your interviews are always fun. Excuse Lloyd. I'm glad he can still make you laugh. Just ignore him if you have to. Hopefully we get you back on after the draft or a little later on in the summer before the season, before the school season. So I guess it's a school season. Yeah. School year starts. But again, thank you so much. I know you're busy. Thank you for your time. And I'll talk again soon.
You got it, guys. Have a good night.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, Coach. See you. All right, love you.
Oh, man.
You need help, dude.